Is it? This is the historical, the biblical, the scriptural, the authentic, the Jerusalem of history. This is the real one, the one that went through the 70 AD destruction by Titus Vespasian. This is it here. This is how it looks. This is its shape. This is its topology. This is Jerusalem, the one of history. And upon immediate view of Jerusalem, we can see and tell that this is the real Jerusalem that fulfills prophecy. Jeremiah chapter 9 verse 11 says that Jerusalem and Judah are supposed to be desolate and uninhabited. And that is what we're looking at here. This Jerusalem is as scriptures say that it is. This is it here. What we are looking at is the burntness, the residue of Jerusalem, of the destruction of Jerusalem. This is it here, the real one. This is our city. This is our land in Judah, Namibia, South-West Africa, in the Kidron region. This is how it look here. Now, this is not the one located in the Middle East. This is not that. That one, that's Hadrian's Jerusalem. And that Jerusalem is a fraudulent location. That's like Universal Studios is built on a studio. Universal Studios builds sets for their movies. That's exactly what the Middle East is. A studio set. This one here, this is history. This is historical. This is authentic. This is the real, the scriptural, the biblical Jerusalem that is properly called Agasimba. This is it here, how I look. Let's go through Jerusalem and take a look and see what remains, what is left. And this is Jerusalem here has been kept hidden from the people, the original black Jews. This has been kept hidden for hundreds of years. The land, the promise, and the people. All of that stolen, confiscated, and kept hidden by the colonizer, the redactor, the thief, the Vatican, the United States, Great Britain, Canada, Mexico, Russia, China, Japan, governments in South America, and the governments and leaders in Africa. These are all in on the cover-up and the confiscation of the people, their land, and their history, their scriptures. But these are the times of revelations from the Most High. And this is it here. This is Jerusalem, the authentic, the real one. Now, according to Josephus, Jerusalem sits on two hills. And this, all of this is the first hill. This is the first hill here, as well as the old city. And all of this here. This is the second hill. This is the second hill here. Let's go through Jerusalem real quick, starting with the old city. Now, starting at the Dung Gate. From here, all the way up to here. This is called Mount Ophel. This is Mount Ophel. Now, these two lines here and here, these are pathways. Over here on this eastern wall, this was a gate here. It's torn down, destroyed, demolished. But from this gate is the pathway. From here, extending and going all the way out here. And this one going from here to there. Now there's some people that believe that between these two pathways and here. This is what Mount Ophel is. But nonetheless, what is certain is that Mount Ophel extends from here to here. This is all this region is Mount Ophel. This section here and here, this is where the King David, he had his citadel. The Jews call this the Citadel. That's where King David had his headquarters. Let's go north of Mount Ophel to this area right here. But first, right here, this is Mount Moriah, one of the famous mountains mentioned in the Old Testament. Next to Mount Moriah, right over here, this is where the temple was. And what you are viewing is fulfilled prophecy. This is where the temple was located, and it fulfilled the prophecy that Christ spoke of when he said that there will not be not one stone left upon the other. And that is what you are viewing here. Fulfilled prophecy. Now there are some Old Testament scriptures that states that the temple was built on Mount Moriah, but that's just another way of saying that the temple was built right next to Mount Moriah. You see, the temple was built on the threshing floor of Araunah. Araunah was a historical and biblical person. North of the temple, right over here, this area, this is where the Pools of Bethesda, they were located here. The pools were huge, and it was more than one pool. You see, the people, the Jews, the original black Jews, they brought the sheep in through the sheep gate. They brought them to the pools, washed them, cleansed them, get them ready and prepared for sacrifice. Pools of Bethesda is located here. And over here in this section here, this is where the Antonia Fortress is located here. This is the actual Antonia Fortress. What is left of it is burned to a crisp, and this is the residue of the actual Antonia Fortress. This is not a drawing or a painting. You are viewing this through Cinelight. This is the real thing that you're looking at. Antonia Fortress burnt to a crisp. Located here. Within the Antonia Fortress was the Praetorium, along with the Praetorian guards. In the Praetorium, that's where Christ was flagged, scourged, and a crown of thorns placed on his head. All happened here, Antonia Fortress. South of Mount Moriah to this mountain here. This is the Mount Zion, one of the famous mountains mentioned in the Old and New Testament and in the Book of Revelations. The famous mountain that you have heard in various sermons. This is it here. This is how it looked. This is the real mountain, burnt to a crisp. Mount Zion. Next to Mount Zion is another mountain. All of this is a mountain. And this mountain is what Josephus called a horn-shaped moon. And it does resemble that, the crescent of the moon with the part of the horn. This is called the Acra. Acra, right here. Over here, this is Herod's palace. This is the residue, what is left of Herod's palace. This is what you're looking at right here. The actual real thing. Over here was the New Mount Zion. Next to New Mount Zion was the upper room where Christ had the Last Supper with his disciples. Now these terms here, Jerusalem and Agasimba, both are important, but Agasimba is more important. Agasimba is historical. Jerusalem is not. Agasimba we find in history. Jerusalem has its origin in the 18th, 19th century. Keep in mind, there was no letter J until later, during the 15th century. That means that the original black Jews of the 1st century and prior never called this city Jerusalem. They never identified it by that name. Jerusalem came later in history. But Agasimba, what we know of Agasimba is this. Ptolemy, he was a geographer. Ptolemy wrote about another geographer named Marinus. Marinus, he took an expedition to Africa, to South Africa, to the interiors of southern Africa. Marinus went below the equator, and he went below the Tropic of Capricorn to a land called Agasimba. When he got to this land, he was informed by the people there that this is Agasimba. So Agasimba is historical, and it is from the lips, the tongue of the people, the black Jews themselves, that this is Agasimba. Agasimba is Bantu, and it means land of the lion. And that's how they identified this city that is normally called Jerusalem, and the land itself that we call Judah. It was called Agasimba. This is Jerusalem here. Now Jerusalem has a lot of gates. Well, it has several gates. With the hand of the redactor, the one that has edited, moved and removed, placed and replaced, deleted many things and words, and kept a lot of things hidden. This person, the redactor, has added many gates to Jerusalem, to the Jerusalem in the Middle East, and thereby causing confusion. But nonetheless, the gates of Jerusalem in Scripture, the number of them is not mentioned. The amount of them is not mentioned. Now this is, again, the actual Jerusalem. And Jerusalem has 3 valleys. Also, Jerusalem is surrounded by 2 mountain ranges. And these things are important. And once again, what you are looking at is the real historical Jerusalem. This is it. This is it here. Let's start with the valleys. There are 3 valleys. Now along the eastern wall, right here, this is the Kidron Valley. The Kidron. This valley starts here and it runs all the way down here. It also extends all the way to the Dead Sea. But thanks to the satellite, we cannot see the extension to the Dead Sea, because whatever is in the terrain of the land of Judah, it is not meant for us to see. Our vision is blocked by the satellite. But nonetheless, the Kidron Valley runs along the eastern wall of Jerusalem. The next valley, this one starts on the western wall and runs along the southern wall. And it is said that this valley extends northeast. But again, due to the satellite blocking our view, our vision of such extension, we cannot see that. The third valley, this one here, runs from here all the way through the city and goes up here. This valley is what Josephus called the Valley of the Cheesemongers. In Hadrian's Jerusalem, they have called this valley, they refer to scholars, so-called scholars in academia, they call this valley the Tyropian Valley. But the original black Jews never used that word. Tyropian is Greek. They spoke F-Y. This is the the Valley of the Cheesemongers going through there. Now the Jerusalem was divided in a upper city and a lower city, old city, and new city. The new city is called Bezetha. Bezetha right there. Let's see, go right over here to the mountain ranges. These are 2 mountain ranges. There's one here, there's one here. Behind this mountain range, right in this area, lies Bethany. But looking at these mountain ranges, starting over here on the eastern wall, this mountain range consists of 3 mountains. It consists of Mount Corruption, Mount Olives, and Mount Scopus. And out of the 3, only these 2, Mount of Olives and Mount Corruption, those 2 are mentioned in Scripture. We learn of Mount Scopus through the writings of Josephus, where he informs us that part of the Roman army, they encamped on top of Mount Scopus so that they can get a clear view of the destruction of the temple. And when you look at it, that will give you a good view. Hence the name Scopus, which means to view, to look, to see, to watch out. Now, along the side of the Mount of Olives, there were cemeteries. At the foothill of Mount of Olives, you're going to find the Garden of Gethsemane, located in this area here. That's the first mountain range. The second mountain range started at the northern end of the Kidron Valley, over here, and it extends out to there. And this section over here, this is where you will find tombs for the rich and wealthy only. And among those tombs, you're going to find the tomb of Joseph of Arimathea. This is where Christ was buried. This is where he was laid, in this area here. This is Jerusalem here. This is it. This is how it looks. This is the topology. And over here is Golgotha. Notice the close proximity of Golgotha and Jerusalem. That's about 4 to 6 miles apart. Not too much of a long distance. Let's go north of Jerusalem to these mountain ranges here. This is what the black Jews have called the Judean Hills, or mountains. All of these are mountain ranges here. In here, you're going to find Bethel and Adasa, along with Ramallah. You go to the west of the Judean Hills. This is where Hebron is located. This is Hebron. This is how it looks, a hill city. When Abraham left Egypt, he journeyed south to Mamre. Mamre is a town, a village, a section of Hebron. This is where Abraham came. This is where Isaac was. This is where Jacob was. This is where the 12 tribes, this is where they were located, in Hebron. And let's go over here to this city. This is the original Beersheba. This is how it looks here. This is its shape and topology. Beersheba was a heavily populated city, a big hill city. But it too is burnt to a crisp, thanks to Hadrian. If you go south of Beersheba, over here, this is the Dead Sea. But now this was not called the Dead Sea during the 1st century. The Dead Sea is modern, from modern scholars of our day in academia, used to conceal, hide, and cover up many historical things. According to Josephus, this was called Lake Asphaltites. Asphaltites. In the word asphaltites, there's the word asphalt, because the Dead Sea has a lot of asphalt. Excuse me. And the Egyptians and other nations, they bought the asphalt and used the asphalt for mending bricks, building ships, and other ancient structures. Asphalt was a precious commodity and trade item during the 1st century and prior. So this is called, by the people of the 1st century and prior, this is called Lake Asphaltites. As time went on, it has been changed. The indigenous people to Namibia, they call it Gurachab. Gurachab is Kway, which means land, not land of the line, but river of the Line River. Over here, Lowen. Lowen is German, and that means Line River. Now the Dead Sea is fed by the Jordan, which made it the Jordan River. And over here, this is Jericho. This is Gilgal. And these are the Qumran Caves. All of these here, Qumran Caves. And this is Beth-Hoglah. sections of the Qumran Caves here. This is a quick overview and a quick view of Jerusalem and part of the land of Judah. Tribe of Reuben there. This is Judah. Right in north of Judah is Benjamin. Now this is it. This is our land. This is our city. And we're going to be returning to our city, to our land very soon. This is Agasimba, the real authentic historical biblical scripture, Jerusalem, Agasimba.